Is this thing on? Hello? Testing. Testing. Hello? Testing. 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 Hello? Testing. Testing. Hello? Testing. Oh, shit. Shit. Fuck. Hello? Shit. Fuck. Shit. Oh. Oh no. Oh God. Is this real? Wait, hello? Testing. Is this on? Hello? Testing. Is this on? Testing. Hello? Hello? Testing. Oh, shit. Shit. Fuck. Hello? Is this on? Shit.
D.C. and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
Hello?
That brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Is anyone ready to watch this, man? I am not ready to watch this. I gotta turn my volume
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
They shook hands.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their #1 issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. I was actually, my mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy.
Why is Donald
My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before. which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
I'm not going to lie.
First of
That's
all, I
not
have
a
no
great start.
sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation.
We're starting off with like the
we've
worst
had a
possible
terrible economy
No one
because
cares about
inflation
tariffs.
has, which is really known
I'm
as a
sorry.
country buster. It
No one
breaks up
cares about
countries.
small
We
businesses.
have
What are we
inflation
doing?
like very few people
Oh,
have
no.
ever seen before.
happening
Probably
again.
the worst in our nation's history. We were at
happening
21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and
immigrants are taking the
Hispanics,
jobs.
and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States.
no,
You
not
look
the
at
towns.
Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking
Venezuelan
over
gangs
buildings.
have
They're
taken
going
over
in
Colorado,
violently.
folks.
These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're
The
destroying
borders
our
are
country.
let Venezuela
they're
through.
dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate,
great.
but
This is horrible
I would
so
like to
far.
let Vice President Harris
This is
respond on the
horrible,
economy
man.
here.
I'm already
Well,
having a panic
I would love
attack
to. Let's
watching this
talk
shit.
about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst
Sorry about that, Windows
unemployment
enjoyers.
since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump
Trump's
left
face.
us the worst attack
By
on
the way,
our
Kamala can't
democracy
even say pandemic.
since the Civil War.
I think that's funny.
And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we
She
have
said
done and what
epidemic?
I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook,
Okay.
a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed
should have
and
started off with
dangerous
this.
plan called Project 2025.
Okay, you should have started off with this. What was that bullshit about small?
If he were
I was
elected
raised by a
again.
small business.
I
What?
believe very
should have been the
strongly
opening
that
statement.
the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you
disagree.
to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
Project
That's out there.
2025.
I haven't read it. I
It's
don't
out
want to
there.
read it.
It's out
purposely.
there.
I'm not going to read
Never
it.
read it.
This was a group of
Personally,
people that
I
got
don't even
together
know how
that
to
came
read,
up with
so I
some
couldn't
ideas. I
possibly
guess
have
some
read
good, some bad. But it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got
believe
hit with a
people vote for this
pandemic.
guy, dude?
And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died.
It's
Has there been
1918,
anything like it? We
actually,
did a
but
phenomenal job
only
with
1
the
year off.
pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it
Like
was
Trump
before
could just
the
say
pandemic
Biden
came in.
had more
Nobody's ever
pandemic
seen
deaths
anything
than
like
Trump
it.
did,
We
but Trump
made
can't say that
ventilators
because
for
he
the
also
entire
doesn't believe in
world. We
COVID,
got gowns.
so.
We got masks. We did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it
Bounced
bounced back, and it went to
jobs.
their benefit.
They bounced
but
back.
I was the one that created them. They know
These
it,
are
and
jobs.
so does everybody else.
They
Vice
bounced
President Harris,
back,
I'll let you respond.
and they got the credit when
So-
they bounced back.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when
Okay.
you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people.
That's correct.
I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy.
I don't know
and
about that
the
one,
best
but-
economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse.
Let's
Mine
cite
would
Goldman
strengthen the
Sachs
economy.
positively.
What
Great
the
idea.
Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
That's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance,
just a
and many
soundbite.
of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of
People are gonna
good,
love to
solid
go create
money
some
for
jobs.
our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's
Biden.
like 4
Biden.
sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Take a
Mr.
look
President,
at her
I
plan.
do
She
want to drill
doesn't
down
have a
on something
plan.
you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You
I didn't make
responded,
any
and let's drill
bingos
down
this
on this
time.
because
I'm sorry.
your plan is what she calls
Also,
is
hello,
essentially
everyone
a
out
national
there.
sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and
They're not
who's
gonna
going to
have
have
them.
higher prices is China and
China.
all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us
He was
hundreds
the
of
only
billions
president
of
ever.
dollars, and
Someone
so
take
were
that
other
one.
countries. And you know,
There's
if
only
she
been
doesn't
one
like them,
president.
they should have
It's
gone
true.
out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their
Kamala's got some good
administration.
reaction
We are going to
faces here,
take
I'm
in
not gonna lie. This is
billions
good.
of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go
What
out
is
and
this
buy
guy
cereal
talking
or
about?
bacon or
What?
eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely
the
dying
fuck is
with
this
what they've done.
question?
They've
What are we
destroyed
doing?
the
Why is this the
economy.
start of the
And all you have
debate?
to do is look at a poll.
Tariffs?
The polls
Really?
say
Tariffs?
80
We're
and
starting a
85
debate
and even
about tariffs?
90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the
Sorry, I
history
had
of
to. I
America.
cannot. I'm sorry.
He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended
China.
up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended
But
up
will she say
selling
China 2 plus
American
times?
chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military. Basically sold us
American
out
chips.
when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the
No one
details
knows.
of what
I'm gonna
that
be honest with you. I
requires,
follow politics.
focusing
I have
on
no idea what these
relationships
guys are
with our
talking about.
allies, focusing on
We're talking about
investing in
chips? We're
American-based
talking about goddamn
technology
chips? I
so
know, they're
that
talking
we
about
win
computer
the
chips.
race
I know.
on
Everyone shut the
AI,
fuck up.
on quantum computing, focusing on what we
She
need
said
to
AI.
do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights, But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet.
I agree, though.
Thank you, President
I agree.
Xi!
What Xi did during
point,
the start of the pandemic was good. I
that
agree.
Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
Is
President Trump
Kamala doing
First
lab
of all,
leak?
they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because
What?
of
Is Kamala
philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy.
What?
Everything
What was
that she
that?
believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it.
She's laughing.
And it
That's
will
good.
be the
Laughing
end of our
Kamala.
country. She's
That's
a
what they call her.
Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what
I'm
she's
glad
done
she's got
to
her
our
face on
country,
camera.
and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people
21
say,
million,
and I
right.
think it's a
Every
lot
month.
higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say
insane.
they have to
It's
hate our country.
insane.
President Trump. Thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often
is
touted that you
incredible.
were able to kill
That is
Roe v.
incredible.
Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American
Abortion.
history. Then
I
last
hope they
month,
both
you
say
said that your
abortion. I got some
administration
money
would
on
be
that on
great
Polly
for
Market.
women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be
They're
voting
actually
that we
getting him on
need
flip-flopping.
more than
This is
6 weeks.
good.
But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month.
The
They even
9th
have, and
month.
you can look at the governor of West
Sometimes
Virginia, the
10th
previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because
Yo,
that
they've been saying
predominates.
this shit for
Because they're
years,
radical.
man.
The Democrats are
It's
radical
insane.
in that.
None of it is
And
true.
her
It's totally
vice
made up.
presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country.
Horrible.
Because he is really out of it.
Tampon
But her
Tim.
vice presidential
That's what they
pick
call him.
says
I don't call him that.
abortion in the
They call
9th
him
month
Tampon Tim.
is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52
Execution.
years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart
genius.
and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices,
The other ones,
we were
not so
able
much.
to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now,
Did you see that with his
Ohio,
tongue?
the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people
Somewhat?
would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your
Did they
response
fact
to
check his
President Trump.
ass?
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a
Live
bunch
on
of
stream?
lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here.
What?
Donald Trump
The media just did their job.
hand-selected 3
once.
members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal
she's calling it all
for
Trump.
a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government and Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
Trump's just not even looking at her. Trump's just staring forward.
Being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't want that.
She's looking at him.
And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to
killing
put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people
I would love that job. Can I sign up for that job? I'm going to be the abortion monitor.
In particular, the freedom to make decisions about one's own body should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie.
It's a lie.
I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban, because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else. And every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states. And the states are voting.
All of them, 100%.
And it may take a little time. But for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart.
Not really.
And
Not
they
really.
wanted it back in the states.
Not
and I
really.
did something that nobody thought was possible.
I'm not going to lie there. I haven't seen
The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter, because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came to your
Well, I won't
desk?
have to, because again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just
reaction game.
You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get
Someone
student
told
loans
her, like, you got to
terminated,
react.
and it ended up being a total catastrophe.
And she's really...
The student loans, and then
this is good.
Her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it, because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans.
We don't have to discuss it. I don't want to answer the question,
so
so let's just move on. Next question, please.
Young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved.
Why
so
are we
it doesn't
talking about
matter what she
loans?
says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government, and we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade, and as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
Thank
and
you,
understand what has
actually,
been
for saying
happening
that.
under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments.
Oh, IVF.
What is happening in our country?
Here we go.
Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her
She's
through
looking at him, and he's just
is
ignoring
unconscionable.
her. This is really bad
And the
for
people
him.
of America
Look
have
at this.
not.
He's-
The majority of
He
Americans
looks like a
believe in a
fucking
woman's right to
statue.
make decisions about her own body, and that is why. In every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond.
I have to
Another
respond.
lie. It's another lie.
Another lie.
I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have
By
been
the way,
a
it
leader.
stands for
In fact,
fertilization.
when
That's what
they
it
got a
stands for.
very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other
I've been a
thing,
leader on
they-
fertilization.
You should ask.
I love fertilization.
Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her
Why-
that question?
why don't you answer
That's
the
the problem.
question?
Okay,
Would
here
you
we go.
Because
They're
under
fighting.
Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the
Mom and
question
Dad
in
are fighting.
detail.
Mom
you
and
could
Dad
do
are fighting.
abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look
probably.
at the former
Probably.
governor of Virginia. The governor
It's
of
probably
Virginia
gonna
said, we
happen.
put the baby aside, and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
They
We're
put
going to
the
turn
baby
now to
aside.
immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans,
borders
Democrats,
are.
voters across the
The
board
borders
in
are
this
has
country.
logged on, guys.
Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America.
The borders
we know
are.
that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns,
someone say
drugs, and
transnational?
human beings.
They're woke.
And let me say that the
Tampon
United
Tim.
States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported.
This is the right-wing, like,
And
neo-Nazi
that bill
bill,
would
by
have
the
put
way.
1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have
How about
put
you just
more
legalize
resources to
weed
allow
and
us
you
to
legalize
prosecute
heroin,
transnational criminal
legalize
organizations
cocaine,
for
regulate
trafficking in
them
guns,
so that
drugs,
people
and
don't
human beings.
overdose
But you know
on
what
fentanyl?
happened
It's pretty
to that
easy,
bill?
actually.
Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why?
Kill Bill.
Because
I
he'd
love that
prefer to
movie.
run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually
are we talking about the
addresses
border?
the
No one gives
problems
a fuck
at
about the
hand.
border.
But
If
what
you
we
care- if
have
you're an
in the former
American and you give a
president
shit
is
about
someone
the
who would
border,
prefer
you're
to
either
run on a
dumb
problem
or stupid.
instead of
Those are the
fixing a
options.
problem. And
That's
I'll tell
it.
you something,
That's
he's
all
going
we
to talk
got.
about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm
Here
going
we
to
go.
invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter.
Okay.
We'll talk about windmills cause cancer.
Okay.
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early
crowd
out of
size.
exhaustion and
She's going to
boredom.
bring up crowd sizes.
And I will tell
It's
you, the one
happening.
thing you will not hear him talk about
It's happening.
is you.
She
You will
just
not
mentioned
hear him
the
talk
crowd
about your
sizes,
needs,
like-
your dreams, and your desires.
This is good.
And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president
Mm.
who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President
Stumbling
Harris,
a
thank
little
you.
bit,
President
but-
Trump, on that
all
point, I
right.
want to
That
give you
was
a
good.
response.
That
I
was
would
good.
like to
Bringing up the
respond.
Let me just
rallies.
ask, though, why did you try to kill
Windmills
that bill and
cause cancer.
successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional
people are
agents
saying
and
it.
officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go.
Oh my God.
And
Oh my God.
the people that do
Oh my
go,
God.
she's bussing them in
Yes.
and paying
Yes.
them to be
Yes.
there.
AI crowd
and
sizes bringing
then
up AI.
showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that.
Her
People don't
face.
leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened
awesome.
3.5 years
is
ago.
awesome.
And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over
the
United
towns.
States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets
She's laughing
of
at
the
him.
people.
They're
that
eating
live
the
there.
dogs.
And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as
eating dogs.
rallies are concerned,
In
as far as
Springfield, they're
the
eating
reason they go
dogs.
is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase: make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success.
face, look at
Not
her
only
face.
success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed,
Fact-checking
injured, or
live on
abused by
stream.
individuals
Oh my
within
God.
the immigrant
It's
community.
happening.
All
Well,
of
I've
this.
seen people on television.
Let me just say here,
Oh,
this
they're
is
saying
the
it
People
on
on
TV.
television say my
They
dog
wouldn't
was
lie on
taken
TV.
and used
on
for
TV.
food. So maybe he said
said
that,
it
and
on
maybe that's a
TV.
good
Yeah.
thing to say
Why
for
would
a
they
city
lie on the
manager.
I'm not
television?
taking this
If they
But
said
the
it, it
people
must
on
be true.
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog
He's
was
arguing
eaten
with the
by
fact check.
the people that went
It's
there.
over. It's over. It's a
Again,
wrap,
the Springfield
guys.
city
All right,
manager
it's
says
done.
there's no evidence of that. Vice President
We can
Harris,
go
I'll let
home.
you respond to the
I
rest
don't
of
need
what
to
you've
watch
heard.
anymore. It's already over.
Talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election
It's
I
done.
actually
It's
have
over.
the endorsement
Oh.
of 200 Republicans
It's
who
over.
have
It's done.
formerly
He's
worked
lost.
with
He can't
President
come back
Bush,
from this.
Mitt
It's already
Romney,
done. We're only
and
30
John
minutes in,
McCain,
and it's already over.
including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member
I don't know if
Liz
you should
Cheney.
be bragging about Dick
And
Cheney
if
being
you
on your
wanna
team.
really
Kamala, what are you
know
doing, bro?
The inside
Stop.
track
You already,
on
you're
who
winning.
The former
Don't bring
president
up
is,
Dick.
if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit.
That's true.
His former
That's true. He is very
Secretary of
unfit.
Defense has said the nation,
gotta
the
lose some
Republic,
weight.
would never survive
sorry.
another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person.
Okay,
I
here we go.
fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose
Okay,
were
we're
just
bringing up
killed,
getting out of
viciously and
Afghanistan,
violently
the
killed.
best thing
And I got to
Biden
know
has
the
done
parents and the
on
family.
foreign policy,
They
anyway.
didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top
Yeah, remember when they got
people,
out of
because that was one of the
Afghanistan?
most
Yeah, they should have
incompetently
fired all of
handled
them.
situations anybody has ever
What?
seen. So
What?
when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him, so he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far.
By a
In
lot.
fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history
Sitting
by
president.
far.
Sitting president.
Let me
sitting
continue on
president.
immigration. It was
Stop
what you wanted
it.
to talk
He
about
had to
earlier,
correct
so let's get
himself.
back to
Oh
your
my God.
deportation
Any president, I
proposal
mean sitting
that the vice
president.
president has reacted to as well.
He's got a
President Trump,
sedentary
you call this
lifestyle.
the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard.
Okay.
You say if things
Okay.
get out of control,
All right,
you'd
this is
have
gonna be good.
no problem using the
With
U.S.
local
military.
police.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is much higher.
What?
Because
Did he
of
just
them.
say yes?
They
What?
allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed
Some of them
terrorists. They
rapists.
allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers
They
to
allowed
come into our
people to
country.
come
And
in?
they're
Oh,
now
dear
in the
heavens,
United
not the
States
people. Oh,
and
God.
told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world
Venezuela.
is way down? You know why?
Way down.
Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history
Why
for
does
them
Trump
to
do this?
allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it.
They can't
Because
vote.
they're destroying
They
the
can't-
fabric
immigrants,
of
they
our
can't
country
vote. If
by
you're
what
an
they've
illegal
done.
immigrant, you
There's
cannot
never
vote.
been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world. Crime
over
is
the
down
world.
all over the world except here.
All over the
Crime
world.
here is up and through the roof.
Oh, it's through the
Despite
roof?
their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's
Migrant
happening
crime.
at levels that nobody
It's
thought
never happened
possible.
President Trump, as
before.
you know, the
An
FBI
immigrant
says
has never
overall
committed a
violent crime is
until
actually
Biden.
coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris, I'll
FBI
give you the-
they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump,
Fraud.
thank
It's
you. I'll
all
let you
fraud.
respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person
way,
stands
pussy-ass judge.
on the issue of what is important about
Pussy-ass
respect for the
judge.
rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move
Defund the
forward,
police,
that we
you know,
turn the page
the ones I don't like.
on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent.
No,
and I'm
you.
winning most of them,
No,
and
it's
I will
not
win
me,
the
it's
rest on
you.
appeal.
It's
and you
not
saw
me.
that with the decision that came
Springfield.
down
It's
just
all
recently
you.
from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department.
called
Every one of those cases
weaponization.
was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New
Isn't her
York
name
and the
Fanny,
DA in New
or
York.
am I incorrect?
Every one of those cases.
Fani?
And
What?
then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden
What?
was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election.
President
They're
Trump.
fake cases.
President Trump,
They're
thank
all
you.
fake?
A really quick response here, Vice
Wow.
President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well,
They're all
let's talk
fake.
about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from
Oh, man,
any
here we go.
misconduct if he were to
Here we
enter
go.
the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the
That's
United
true.
States.
That's a real
that he would
quote.
weaponize
Trump
the
knows.
Department
Trump
of
knows
Justice
he got
against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
Vice President
stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
Oh, here we go.
gotta
This is the one that weaponized, not
This
me.
is the one.
She weaponized.
It was
I
her,
probably
not
took
me.
a bullet to the
No,
head
no,
because
you.
of the things that they say about me.
Oh,
they
he's
talk about
weaponizing the
democracy.
quote,
I'm a threat
unquote,
to democracy.
assassination attempt.
They're
I don't believe
the
that's
threat
real, by the way.
to
I'm
democracy
just
was a
kidding.
fake Russia investigation.
We do a lot
that
to
went
bringing
nowhere.
Russia
We have a
into
lot
this?
to
What are
get
you
to.
talking
Lindsay?
about?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president,
They
you said you
shot
wanted to
me.
ban
Oh,
fracking.
it was a Republican?
Now you
Well,
don't. You wanted
it's their fault.
mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy
She's
positions
flipping and
changed?
flopping.
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made.
At
But in
least every
particular, let's
point,
talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of
As
the
if
United States. And in
Pennsylvanians
fact,
like
I
fracking,
was
by the way. What is it?
tie-breaking vote
No,
on the
it's
Inflation
oil company.
Reduction Act,
Well, I'm
which
from
opened
Pittsburgh,
new leases
man. I
for
love
fracking.
bro.
My position
What?
is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that
This is not-
recognizes
no one cares
that we
about
cannot
this. This is
over-rely
not-
on foreign oil. As it relates
cares
to my
about oil,
values, let me
dude?
tell you, I grew
It's
up a
2024.
middle-class kid raised by a hardworking
Say
mother
McDonald's?
who
Say McDonald's?
worked and saved
Say
and was able
McDonald's.
to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and
That's
then
true,
filed
though.
bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my
His
work
face.
to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that
Pretty
is about
bad
protecting
answer,
Social Security
but,
and
you know.
Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down.
Oh, that's
and
the
name
bite.
calling.
Yep.
The true measure of the
Lift 'em up,
leader
not beat 'em
is
down,
the
dude.
leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's
Oh,
in lifting
saying it
people
again.
up.
Oh.
I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your
Well, first of
response?
all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that,
Is
a tiny
that the
fraction.
father
and
that
I
was
built it
in the
into
KKK,
many,
that
many
guy?
billions
You learned
of
a lot from
dollars.
him?
Many, many billions. And
Many
when people see
billions.
it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that.
Does Donald
Fracking,
Trump have
she's been
armpit
against it for
stains, or
12
is that like a
years.
shadow or something?
Defund the police. She's been against that forever.
see that?
She
Look at-
gave all
Is
that
that
stuff
an armpit
up.
stain?
Very
Or is
wrongly,
that
very
like a
horribly.
shadow or a
And
wrinkle?
everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please.
Trump.
Does that sound familiar?
Don't lie.
She went out.
That was good.
She went out.
That was good. I
in
got to give him
Minnesota
that one.
And wanted to let
was
criminals
good.
that
That was
killed
good.
people,
That was
that
good.
burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of.
was good.
Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left
They're gonna take
liberal
in
that would
the
do
illegal,
this. She wants to
insane
confiscate your
immigrants
guns,
and give
and
them
she will never allow
operations.
fracking in Pennsylvania.
What?
If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one.
Day one.
Just to finish one thing so important, in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher
Somewhere
because
in
you're talking
between
about
4
three
and
and a half
5.
years ago. They got
Maybe
it up
4.3.
to where I was because they had no choice because the prices of energy were were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of it. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar. But they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil. These are not good things for the environment.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home.
You're all very special.
Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically.
Is this the angle?
And nobody on the other side was
the one we're
killed.
going with?
Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace.
Cop, by the way.
But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that.
The border czar.
She was the border czar.
The border czar.
Be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? What are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world.
Anything
David,
you regret about
all
January
over the
6th?
world.
Illegal
And
immigrants.
Crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just ask you.
David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted?
They burned it
or
down.
in Seattle. They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
They just burned it all down.
But let me just ask you.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it.
It's over, man.
And again,
this guy,
it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers.
It's over.
They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me.
He is not doing this.
2 weeks ago, her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there.
Here we go.
And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital.
Correct.
To desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured. And some died.
Silver lining.
And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches.
On both sides.
Spewing anti-Semitic hate.
So you got good facial,
and what did the president then at the time say?
Facial acting.
There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia.
Stand back.
The president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back.
Oh,
Let's not go back. We're not going back.
Ooh!
It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in
That's a bridge
our
too far.
campaign
I've got
for
a much
you
smaller bridge.
to stand for country
30%
to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos.
Max the dog, everybody.
And
Here
to
he is.
end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this
He did
election
say
is
that.
not to his liking.
He did say that. That's true.
Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go
Ooh,
back.
Trump knows
Let's
he's got-
chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different
I never
term, and
said
it was a term
bloodbath.
that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath
When I
was.
said bloodbath,
also,
I was talking
on
about
Charlottesville.
energy.
That story has been, as you would say,
Hello?
debunked.
I was talking
Laura
about energy.
Ingraham, Sean
Come on.
Hannity, Jesse, all of these people,
They
they covered
debunked
it.
it.
If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was
all
perfect.
energy.
It was
all
debunked in
perfect.
almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not
the
doing
border.
anything?
The whole
And I'll
thing
tell
is
you what
about
I
the
would
border.
do,
It's
and
all
I would
about
be
the
very
border,
proud to do
and
it.
it's all a fake
I would
issue.
say we would both
The border
leave
is
this
such a fake
debate
fucking
right
issue.
now.
No one
I'd
cares
like to
about
see
the
her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President
Fuck
of the United
bills.
States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill.
That's
If
funny.
he,
I
if
gotta
he
think that's
signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal.
They're
If they do
phenomenal.
that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people,
I wanna-
unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do
J6.
want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us
interesting that he calls it
this into
J6.
focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you
go.
repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a
He
landslide.
kind of admitted he
in the past
lost.
couple of weeks leading up to this debate,
couple weeks
you have
ago.
said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that
I
you
said
lost
that?
in
No, I
2020?
don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically.
But
You know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you
Thank
have to
you,
do is
Trump.
look at it.
Come on.
And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for
going.
approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever
sitting
gotten. I was
president,
told if I got
sitting.
63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls.
It's over.
We need, and we have to have it. We have
This
to
is
have
over.
borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote.
They're
They
not.
can't even
It's
speak
not
English. They don't
happening.
even know what
That's not
country they're in
happening.
practically. And these
Illegal
people are
immigrants
trying
cannot
to
vote.
get them
That's
to
not
vote.
happening.
And that's why they're allowing them to come
Ooh,
into
and
our
the
country.
question-
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker, we didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this,
Can we play
you
the
and your
video?
allies, 60 cases in front of
Just
many
play the video.
judges, many of them
No
Republican.
judge looked at it.
And said
They
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread fraud.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an
He's
election
saying
doesn't
that?
have standing? The president of the
saying
United States
our cases were
doesn't
so
have
bad they
standing.
threw them
That's
out.
how we lost.
He's just
if
saying
you look
that.
at
Why
the
would you
facts,
say
and I'd
that?
love to
Why
have
would
you
it- why
do
would
a
you
special
volunteer
on it.
that?
I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline.
What?
We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you.
It's
Vice President
dying.
Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you
This
about
is
something
awesome.
that's come up in the last couple of
This is
days. This was a
awesome.
post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law,
This
which
is
will
so
include
good.
long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded
What
saying,
if
we
Trump,
won't let
like,
Donald
during,
Trump
like, a
intimidate us.
commercial break,
We
he
won't
doesn't
let
come
him
back?
suppress the
Are they
vote.
gonna do commercial
Is
breaks?
that what you believe he's trying to
Maybe
do
not.
here?
I don't know. But like he just like what did he
Donald
walks
Trump
off?
was
He's
fired
losing
by
so
81
bad.
million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very
That's good.
difficult time processing that.
He got fired.
But we cannot afford to have a
This guy.
president of the United States
That's good.
who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you
I'm not
then
gonna lie.
talk in
I'm
this
sure
way
Vice President
in a
Harris has
presidential
gone
debate
around
and deny
like just had a fun old
what
laughing
over
match
and
all
over
across the
again
world
are
with
court
different
cases
people.
you
Like,
have lost
Oh, man, how
because
about
you
that
did
previous
in fact
guy, you
lose
know?
that
I guarantee
election.
you that sounds
It
fun.
leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
Yeah,
I'll
fact.
give you 1 minute to
We're still in
respond,
a
Mr.
pandemic.
President.
Let me just say
by the
about
way,
world
at
leaders.
Kamala.
Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men. They call him
Let's
a strong
bring up
man.
one of the
He's a tough
neo-fascists in
person.
Europe. Let's bring
Smart.
him up. That'll help
Prime
things.
Minister of Hungary.
That will help
They said,
things,
why
yeah.
is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North
Quoting
Korea
who?
was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way.
Did Kamala
He said
Harris get
Russia was
misgendered?
afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes.
That's
he
true.
got 14
That's
million
true.
votes. What you did,
That's true.
you talk about a threat to democracy.
That's not
He got
wrong.
14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't
Oh!
stand her. But
What?
he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got
Your
0
boss
votes.
hates you.
And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm okay
President,
with
This
it
is
because
good.
Your time is
I
up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
We've got a lot
We're
more
going
to
to
get
do very
to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are
Say
still being
ceasefire.
held, Americans among them. Vice
on,
President
Kamala.
Harris, in December, you
You're working
said, quote,
tirelessly.
Israel has a
Just
right
say
to
the
defend
word.
itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians.
Say
You said
ceasefire.
that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate.
This
How
is
would
going to
you
be
do
like
it?
I'm shoving fucking
Well,
knives
let's
in
understand
my
how we
ears
got here.
section.
On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were
Most
simply
of them
attending a concert.
military. A lot
Women
of them
were horribly
the IDF killed.
raped. And so
check,
absolutely, I
fact
said
check.
then, I say now.
Fact check.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Fact
We
check,
would.
wrong. 1,200 Israelis were
And
not
how
killed.
it does so
That's
matters.
what's wrong.
Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must
two-state
be
solution thing is
security
bogus.
for
That's
the
never gonna
Israeli
happen.
people and
She's just
Israel, and
writing
in
some
equal
fan
measure
fiction.
for the Palestinians.
This
But
is
the
not-
one
this
thing
is
I
never
will
gonna happen.
assure
With the
you
current
always,
Constitution of
I
Israel,
will
there's never
always
gonna be a
give Israel
two-state
the
solution.
ability to defend
She is
itself,
just writing
in
a book.
particular as it relates to
writing a
relates to
novel.
Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians
That's never gonna happen.
have
She's
security,
spinning a goddamn yarn.
self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu
Trash.
and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to
So,
Congress to
her
make a very
answer is
important
terrible,
speech. She
and then
refused to be
Trump
there
is
because
like,
she was at a
"Oh my
sorority party
goddamn,
of hers. She
let
wanted to
me
go to the
step up to the
sorority
plate."
party. She hates Israel.
Like-
if she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2
worst,
years from now. And I've been
Kamala's
pretty good at
worst
predictions, and I
thing
hope
is
I'm
her
wrong
stance
about
on
that
Israel,
one.
and then Trump
She
is coming
hates
out
Israel.
and saying, wait,
at the
just so
same
you guys
time,
know,
in her own way,
30 times
she
worse.
hates the Arab population because the whole
She's both
place
sides.
is going to
She hates
get
both of
blown
them.
up. Arabs, Jewish
Right.
people,
They're all gonna get
Israel,
blown up.
Israel will be gone.
What?
It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now
Don't
Iran
tease
has
me, Trump.
$300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had.
Don't tease me.
Iran had
You're
no
telling
money
me if I vote for
Hamas
Kamala,
or
Israel's going to be
Hezbollah or
gone?
any of the 28
Really?
different
Oh, shit.
spheres of terror.
Don't
And they are
tease me.
spheres of terror.
Terror,
Horrible terror.
you know,
they
like-
had no money.
like
it was a
Earth.
big story, and you know it. You covered
you
it
know.
very well, actually. They had no
Continents,
money
terror.
for terror. They were
Terror.
broke.
Why does he keep
now
saying
they're a
it that
rich
way?
nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen.
Houthis?
Look at what's
What?
going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended.
War?
If I'm
What is it
president-elect,
good for?
I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President
What?
Harris
How is that
says
even
you
possible?
hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career
just
and
shut up.
life
Just
supported
say next
Israel
question.
and the Israeli
Just
people.
say next question.
He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract
No, you don't need
from
to
the
defend
reality,
Israel.
which is it
No,
is
just let
very
him do
well
that.
known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is
Okay, that's
well
true.
known that he
Okay.
admires dictators, wants
Correct.
to be a dictator on day one, according to
Correct.
himself.
Correct.
It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un.
That's true.
And it is
I've read the
absolutely
letters.
well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery
This is
and
good.
favors.
This is good.
And that is
All right.
why
Okay. This is good.
so many military leaders who you have
All
worked
right,
with
all right.
have told
And
me
he's not
you are a
looking.
disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president
motherfucker's
who is
like
not
Hector Salamanca
consistently
on stage. He
weak
is not
and
looking
wrong
at
on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and
there gonna be a
respecting in
commercial break?
highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Liquor.
And she's the one that caused it. That's weak
No,
on
you.
national security by
wasn't
allowing
me.
every
It was
nation
you.
last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic
Okay, there
ABC
is an
News
ad break.
presidential debate from the National
Excellent.
Constitution Center right here
I
in Philadelphia.
timed
Back in
my
a moment.
alcohol consumption perfectly. All right. By the way, thank you. I looked at this camera. What do we got here?
The
What is this?
ABC News presidential debate will continue after this.
I'd like to say while we're doing this ad break, thank you all for watching.
The House will be in order.
I
This
would
year,
also like to
C-SPAN
say I
celebrates 45
apologize
years of covering
for
Congress like no
not
other.
doing shows.
Since 1979, we've been your
recently.
primary source for Capitol
You know,
Hill,
I felt like I should
providing balanced, unfiltered coverage of
apologize.
government,
I'm endlessly
taking leadership
apologetic.
policies
You
debated
know,
and decided,
as soon as I get the
all with
chance,
support
I'm
of
always saying
America's
sorry.
cable companies.
But
C-SPAN.
anyway, I'm gonna go take my little bit of a little break here. So just should I turn the volume back on? Do you want to hear this? Would you rather have a muted
A weekly
stream?
roundup of C-SPAN's campaign
You want to hear the
coverage,
C-SPAN
providing
ads?
one-stop
Like, what do you
shops to
want
discover
while
what
I'm at,
candidates
like,
across the country
how much
are
time do I
saying
have?
to
All right,
voters, along with first-hand accounts from political reporters, updated poll numbers, fundraising data, and campaign ads. Watch C-SPAN's 2024 campaign trail Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on C-SPAN, online at cspan.org, or download as a podcast on C-SPAN Now, our free mobile app, or wherever you get your podcasts. C-SPAN, your unfiltered view of politics.
As the 2024 presidential campaign continues, American History TV presents a new 9-part series, Historic Presidential Elections. Learn about the pivotal issues of different eras, uncover what made these elections historic, and explore their lasting impact on the nation. This Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, a look at the election of 1860. Abraham Lincoln defeated several other candidates, including Senator Stephen Douglas, to become the first Republican elected president. Before he took office in March of 1861, several states in the southern U.S. pulled out of the Union, leading to the Civil War. Watch Historic Presidential Elections, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on American History TV on C-SPAN 2. Start your day with Washington Journal, your window into the nation's capital, the only daily nationally televised forum for discussing the latest issues in Washington and across the country.
What I love about your show is that it gives the people an opportunity to speak for themselves on the issues that they actually care about.
Join us for a live 3-hour conversation with a variety of congressional members and Washington influencers.
I love this show. This is my favorite show to do of all shows because I actually get to hear what the American people care about.
You can watch Washington Journal live every morning at 7 Eastern on C-SPAN, C-SPAN Now, or online at cspan.org. Listening to programs on C-SPAN through C-SPAN Radio.
Is this thing on? Yellow? 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 What's up? It's really, I don't know how to do a live stream without there being content on screen to react to. Hi. How's it going? How's it? Hi. Is everybody having a good day? It's Tuesday. Everybody, is it happening?
Harris and former President Trump meet face-to-face for the first time. You're watching C-SPAN's live coverage of the ABC News presidential debate simulcast.
Oh, starring Max the dog. Hey, Max. How's it going?
Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David
am I
Muir
drinking? I'm
and
drinking
Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back to this historic
$60
ABC News
whiskey?
presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the
also
position
known
of
as
the
the good
Biden
stuff.
administration that
That's-
we must defend Ukraine from Russia,
know
from
what it's
Vladimir
called. All I
Putin, to
know is
defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But
weak people?
You take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left, I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here...
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
Right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine
actually a
tonight.
good
Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier.
Oh,
and
he's whinging.
Please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually,
I think about
maybe
it all
he'll
the
use
time.
them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary.
Did he say
They
sharded?
sent her in to negotiate with
sharded?
Zelensky and
Hold on.
Putin.
I'm sorry,
And
I
she
have to do
did. She
this.
said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the
he did?
emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said you went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fella. And that is another one. When I
Okay.
went to meet with President Zelensky, I now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader, upholding
How is it live and I'm running on
international
2X?
rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of
Yeah,
caring
Russia
about
asked
democracy.
Biden for permission
and that
to invade
is very
Ukraine,
much what
and
is at
Biden was
stake
like,
here.
"Sure,
The
Jack."
President of the United
That's what
States
Trump
is
said.
commander-in-chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
This should be really good.
Said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill,
like how
honoring the soldiers
the
who died
moderator's
in the
just like,
chaotic withdrawal
"Thank
from
you."
Afghanistan.
All right,
I do want to
fine.
ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan.
Okay, good
4
answer.
presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did.
All right.
And as a result,
Yes.
America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that
Correct.
endless war.
Correct.
And as of
Wait, did she
today,
say
there is
300
not
million a
one
day? Holy
member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker.
Oh.
Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's
Terrible
how it
deal.
went down.
I like how she's
He
using that word.
bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where
Yeah,
we
we really
invite
care
and
so much as
receive
Americans.
respected world leaders.
Camp David.
And this
What?
former president as president,
Okay,
invited them
That's good.
to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because they deal with the wrong people all the time.
Put it on every single
I got
goddamn
involved.
commercial.
And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did
Trump
the worst
is not,
withdrawal.
You have to
in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you.
I like there's a look on her face.
I want to move
She's
on
just
now to
like,
race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
asking. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black.
Her face.
That she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States.
I did do it.
And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other.
They gave him the rope.
I meet with people all the time.
Trump took the rope, tied the noose, and jumped off the fucking stage.
Can we please just have discourse about
like
how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your third time.
This is the most divisive presidency
He's going in again.
in the history of our country.
second round.
There's never been anything like
second
it.
round.
They're destroying our country.
He's asking
and
for
they come
another
up
round.
with things like what she just said.
They come up with
Going
things
back many, many
like
years, when a
what
lot of
she just
people,
said.
including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five. They admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then
He's
they pled,
defending it?
we're not guilty. But
He's
this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years
Why
ago.
would you defend that?
Because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is.
I like how he does this.
Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden.
What?
The worst
did
inflation
she
we've
say
ever
that? She
had.
doesn't know Joe
A
Biden?
horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad. And she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
Okay.
One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging
She's basically
the
just, I'm
American
not
people.
old. Guys,
I
guys,
believe
look.
in what we can
Fuck
do
all this
to
shit. I'm not old. I
strengthen
ain't
our
Biden.
small
I ain't
businesses,
Trump.
which is why I
I'm
have
not
a
old.
plan. Let's
Vote for
talk
me.
about
And you
our
know what? That's
plans
not bad.
and
That's not
and
bad.
let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their
would love
hard
to see
work.
them
I have a plan,
debate tax
$6,000
brackets and
for
tax
young
code. That
families
would
for
be
the first
amazing.
year of your child's life, to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance
She's actually
for
like
first-time home
mentioning
buyers.
policy here.
That's
Like,
the
is it
kind
the
of
best
conversation I
policy?
believe,
No.
David, that people really want
Would it be
tonight,
greater if she would just
as
like,
opposed to
I'm
a
going to do
conversation
Medicare
that
for
is
all, like, and stuff
constantly
like
about
that? Yes.
belittling
But
and
she's actually kind
name-calling.
of doing something here.
Let's turn
you know?
the
Like, this is
page
Vice
and
President
move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's turn
Trump,
back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy, please.
Here we
To
go.
defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
I wish.
She
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not
other
allow
issues.
Why are you
fracking in
campaigning for the
Pennsylvania
opponent,
or
my man?
anywhere else.
Okay. Thank
That's
you, Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond
President
because
Trump,
no, the
President
former
Trump.
president has said
No, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry.
I
We're
just
going
need
to
to
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President.
time to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is
Three
now
factions.
your third time
Three-faction
running for
battle.
president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare,
Obama who
quote,
made that?
unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today.
Correct.
And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this.
What?
I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had
put
a
it in.
much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats
Okay.
came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of
Very
good people in this
Very good
administration.
people. That's why I
We
fired
read
them
about the
all.
bad ones. We had some real
That's why I
bad ones
fired
too,
them,
and so do
'cause
they.
they're
They
so
have
good.
really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I
rot.
did the right thing. But It's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no,
words,
you still do
what?
not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
Oh, he has concepts.
I'm not president right now. But if
Got concepts of a plan.
we come up with something,
Look
I
at her
would only
face.
change it if we come
Look at
up
her
with
face.
something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have
Her face,
to do
dude, I
that.
can't with
And
this.
you'll be hearing
She is
about it
killing
in the
with
not too
faces.
distant future.
Vice President Harris, in
She's killing it.
2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private
And
insurance
she's going to
option.
run away from
What is your
this,
plan
right?
today?
Because she's fucking
Well, first of
stupid.
all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private health care options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very
This
clear my
orange
position on
gentleman over
fracking.
here.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have
Not so great.
disparaged
Not so great.
as being
Controversial take.
You don't like him, you said at the time,
Not
because
so great.
he got caught. He was an American hero. The late great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, "No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan." And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes?
It's pretty bad.
And thankfully, as I've been vice president, and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for
Should
all
be
people,
zero.
understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it,
Vice
pass this
President
prologue
Harris,
in
thank
terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a
She
lot
made
of
a mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it
I love
going.
how he started off
And you know
with,
what?
"Ooh,"
We can
like
do
he's
much
telling
better
on
than
a
Obamacare, much
sibling.
less money. But
Ooh,
she
she made
won't
a
improve
mistake.
private
Ooh.
insurance for people,
I'm
private
telling.
medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to give.
President
People
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you
I
wait
wish.
6
I
months for
wish.
an operation that
God,
you
I
need
wish.
immediately.
President Trump, thank you.
I
We have
wish.
another issue that we'd like to get to that's
we have
important
another
for a
one.
number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question
This
to
is
you
an
both
issue where they're
tonight
both
is
full
what
of
would you
shit, but
do
Trump is
to
obviously
fight climate
worse, so-
change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said the climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as Vice President over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been Vice President. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
It didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million?
What?
This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Is that it? So they did one ad break at 60 minutes and the next one 36 minutes later.
The ABC News.
What the fuck? Oh, fuck. Now I gotta come up with something to say. So how's it going? How's everyone doing tonight? Got quite a program going on here. Quite a program. This is some crazy stuff. Some very crazy stuff. So, we're doing a show today. Seeing people in the chat room. We got Glam Girl Adel, Allie CIA, Penn Quinn, John Ross, My Dogs Are Goth, Katie Sigmon, Zero PE, and more in the chat. We got Catherine back from a long break. Welcome back. We got Daniel. And more today. We got Psychotronic. And more joining us on today's program. I would implore every single body watching the stream to... You know how some people love to do this? Like, click the bell. Turn notifications on. Well, feel free not to do that, but subscribe anyway to my other YouTube channel where I upload speedruns of my favorite video game, Doom. It's a good game. I post every day because I've been depressed and I play video games all day. So go check it out. Over there, feel free to subscribe and turn off the bell if you don't actually want to watch it. You know, if you do want to watch it, that'd be cool too. Doing a show today, everybody. This is a debate show. Talking about the debate. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. We got a debate going on. We're debating. Well, I'm not debating. They're debating. I'm drunk, by the way. Just thought I'd let everyone know if you're new here. You found my Doom channel before this one. Ooh. Yeesh. Whew. Not good. But, do I have enough time to pour more? No, they're doing closing statements. I'll just finish what I got. I don't need to pour more. Oh. Oh. Why are they putting on all these fucking companies up here? The C-SPAN application. So, be sure to watch. I do a show, part of a show. It's called Left Past 10. Check it out. We're doing we're doing something tomorrow. I guess we'll talk about this, I think. Are those guys streaming? What do we got? I'm sure Jake is streaming. You know, go subscribe to them. That'd be cool. Subscribe to them. Subscribe to me, too. While you're at it. It'd be pretty cool if you subscribe to me. While you're at it. I think these guys are coming back in.
Presidential debate. A reminder, we'll open the phone lines as the debate ends to get your reaction.
Got a 2x just to make sure we're caught up.
Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward.
Okay.
But we're not going back.
Oh, not going back!
And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
Right there,
I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms,
Kamala
including
Harris.
the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat?
Well,
the only thing I
good.
ever
She's
asked
never
them,
asked that.
are you
good.
okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years.
You see, this argument
to
doesn't work
fix the
because
border.
Trump was also
They've
president.
had 3.5 years to
So he's
create
arguing
jobs and all the
against
things we
himself
talked about.
as
Why
well?
hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're
the
not going to
Senate,
frack, we're not going to take
the
fossil
House,
fuel, we're
they
not
don't
going to do
matter.
things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline.
That's
We're
true.
being laughed at
That's
all
true.
over the world.
That's
All over
correct.
the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from
We
all
got
of us here
AI
at ABC
generated
News.
fucking
Good
newscasters here. Is that it? Are we done? What is this? What do we got? We got some behind-the-scenes footage courtesy of C-SPAN.
And that concludes the ABC presidential.
And it's gone. All right. Thank you for watching the show. I guess I should do wind down. Wind down? Are we winding down? No bingo. I didn't do bingo tonight. Honestly, I just didn't feel like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not feel like it. So I apologize. So you know, I'm just gonna blog. I've been using a fun little website recently called Polymarket, where you can bet cryptographic currency on political events such as the debate. And unfortunately, I have bad news to report that Kamala Harris did not say the word McDonald's, so I lost $10. So that's a shame. So, but anyway, I will be doing a Left Past 10 show tomorrow, so that's cool. A lot of people have sent me messages. Many people, they're telling me, they're writing me. They're sending me message. They're saying, "Where's Above It All? Why have you stopped doing a show? Where's your show? What happened to the show?" That's what they're saying. And the answer, I haven't been feeling like it, and I just haven't. But I will be doing a bunch of shows between now and the election. When I start doing those shows remains to be seen. But you know, I'm gonna do a couple of these before the election. So, factor that in. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, that's right, everybody. It is, we're doing it again, QCOC. Questions, comments, or concerns. QCOC, everybody. We're in the QCOC world. If you are a member of the QCOC lifestyle, please make yourself known. If you are a member of the QCOC community, questions, comments, or concerns, Qcock, today is for you. We got Ingus. Yes, fuck yes. Thank you. We got Seth. Today and more, joining us. Favorite Doomwad from Psychotronic X. My favorite Doomwad is Ancient Aliens. Which, by the way, I guess I'll say this now. I will be doing an Election Day stream. And during the Election Day stream, it is my tradition. I made this my tradition. To play through the entirety of Ancient Aliens on Election Day. I did it in 2016. I did it in 2020, and I will do it again in 2024. So if anyone wants to see me play Ancient Aliens, the Doomwad, I will do so on Election Day. I will play that as the polls are closing. So that's what I do every 4 years. Check it out. Did I get any more cool art like the SpongeBob one? I've been collecting animation stuff recently. So, if anyone wants to see my Dragon Ball collection. There's my Dragon Ball collection. I got Bulma. Shoutouts to Bulma. You got Gohan, little baby with the dragon radar. Pretty good stuff, man. We got Ten Shinhan. He's got 3 eyes. That's pretty crazy. You can't see this because of the glare. I don't have a frame for this one yet. But that's Dende. I like Dende. And then we got Rikum. For anyone who doesn't know, whose foot is that? Who is kicking Rikum right there? To any of the Dragon Ball fans? Who is kicking Rikum in that animation cell? Or do we have any D-Ball fans in chat? My schedule doesn't allow the show to happen until nighttime, or I can't participate, and I think we all know why we are really here. It's a good question. Thanks for your input, Pax Sign Bello X Oop Pengi. Yep. Ali CIA, $5 super chat. Keep it up. There you go. Motherfucker, are you guys fucking stupid? Hold the phone, hold the phone. You think that's Vegeta kicking Raccoon? Vegeta, known for wearing an orange fucking uniform? Are you fucking guys dumb? Isaac Uncooked, stupid ass bitch. 0 PE. Do we got some dumb motherfuckers? Vegeta, wearing the orange gi. Are you fucking joking? Look at, I don't even know. Ear. You think that's Vegeta? Wearing an orange fucking goddamn uniform. Are you people fucking stupid? What the fuck? Oh, my webcam broke. Hold on. I gotta stand here. It doesn't... Are you fucking people dumb? Do you have stupid fuck disease? That's fucking Vegeta. Oh, yeah. Vegeta. Fucking morons. Fucking morons in this goddamn chat room. Jesus. Fuck. Vegeta. Look at that. It's obviously Yamcha. That is Yamcha's foot kicking Rikum in the filler arc. Now, you can call it an arc where the Ginyu Force goes to King Kai's planet and Yamcha fights Rikum. That is Yamcha's foot. So, I spent a lot of money on Yamcha's foot. And I'm not going to have this stolen valor from Vegeta. The fucking stolen valor. You think that's Vegeta wearing the orange uniform? Give me a break. Also, hello, Isaac Uncooked. Welcome to the chat room. And Ingus. Did I say hello to Ingus? Welcome to the chat room. Questions, comments, or concerns? I'll keep this going. I'm a little drunk, so... Oh, it looks like Saiyan leg armor. Yeah, the orange Saiyan leg armor. That's right. I forgot that the fucking Saiyan leg armor is orange. Yeah, that's right. How could I make such a mistake? Wow. Holy shit, man. The Saiyan leg armor. I also got another cell. You see that thing flopped over? You see this? It's flopped over. You don't need to see it right now. I don't even know where to put it. It's flopped over. You see that shit? It's bending right now. Like, it's reducing the quality of that animation cell right now because it's bending a little. I gotta fix that later. Oh, you couldn't see. Oh, I couldn't see it that well. Oh yeah, that orange totally looked like the blue arm. Like Vegeta, he never changes fucking colors. He's always wearing blue, and you're saying, oh yeah, that orange is totally, man, totally. Yeah, give me a break. You fucking. We got fake fans in here. This is what we got. We got fake fans. Zero PE, Isaac Uncooked. Fake fans. Let's be honest here. This is embarrassing. It's more embarrassing than that debate I just watched. I'll be honest, and that was pretty embarrassing. It's Mr. Popo? Holy shit. Holy fuck. I never thought of it that way. Wait, why are we really here? That's a good question. This is the QCOC portion of the program. Everybody, questions, comments, or concerns, subscribe to my speedrunning channel. I'm a speedrunner. At least I used to be. I mean, I still am in a way. Subscribe to my speedrunning channel on youtube.com. I post there every day. Why do I post there every day and not here? Well, I think the answer is obvious. I'd rather be there than here. So go check out my Doom speedrunning channel. Check it out. Subscribe today or don't. You know, ring the bell. Feel free not to. I don't give a shit. What did I eat today? I had beans. I had cheese. I'll let you decide what kind of cheese it was. I had salsa and tortillas. That's what I ate today. In other words, total fucking garbage. I ate like shit today, and I drank a bunch of whiskey, so... Do I miss you? Us? Inclusive? A little bit, yeah. I mean, you know, it's been fun streaming here. I don't know how to answer that question without turning it into like a 10-hour psychoanalysis on my mental state. So I'll answer it by saying, yeah, sure. How do I stop my nail cuticle from bleeding because I picked it too much? Actually, that's a great question. Because my nail cuticles, if you can see, are fucked up. I don't know if you can see this, but they're really fucked up. It's not zooming in. I'm too drunk to deal with that. But the answer is you pick it so much that blood stops flowing, and then it's just a collection of dead skin. That's what I do. I haven't had my cuticles bleed on me in years because I picked them and ate them apart so much that all the blood is gone. I don't know if you can see it, but it's really bad. It's disgusting. I shouldn't even be allowed to show that on stream. I'm sorry. I missed this, Chad, that's for sure. There you go. You have a question on a scale from 1 to fucked? How fucked are we? We are fucked. Now, but the real question is whether or not, and this is not mutually exclusive, but whether or not we're fucked in the good dick way. And to be honest with you, I don't think we are. I really don't think we are. You may be able to hear Max the dog snoring. In fact, check this out. This is Max the dog's lower half, which is currently next to the chair. And that's the situation with Max the dog. I don't know if anyone knows this. I don't know. I mean, I've mentioned this before. This is my webcam stand. This is my webcam stand. So I balance my webcam on this stack of DVDs, video games, and books. So if you're ever wondering why this shit is so wobbly, it's because I stack my webcam on a pile of bullshit. So fuck. So whenever I move it, it's really hard to get it to stay stationary without falling. So please bear with me. Oh, we as humans are fucked, and not in the good dick way. That's correct. Bad dick way. Well, that's a different concept. I don't know if I'm familiar. I missed the good dick anecdotes. Lol. Lol. This is what 0PE has to say for us. Lol. A Feeble collection, motherfucking Feeble collection. You see this PlayStation 1 collection? I got like 600 PS1 games here. Do you know how many fucking PS1 games exist? Like 1,000. And if you're Japanese, like 3,000. So depending on who you asked, I got like either 1/2 or like 1/6 of the entire PlayStation 1 library, and you're calling this Feeble. Give me a break, Catherine. Catherine, you fucking... You know, let's, you know, elephant in the room here. You rage quit my stream for like 3 fucking years. You come back and you insult my physical media collection? Really? This bitch wants to pick a fight. This goddamn whore, capital W, and fuck it, capital H while we're at it, comes into my chat, insults my physical media collection. Physical media is in books. Well, my books are not visible. I got some books over there, but I got all my cartoon shit behind the books. My books are not visible. I don't have books visible. Why don't I have books visible? Because I'm stupid. I don't read. I'm illiterate. I've never read in my life. That's why I don't have books. So, we're doing, is this, okay, questions, comments, and concerns. I've got a concern. When is this fucking stream going to end? Good question. That's a really good question. When is the stream gonna end? I don't know. Once again, I will stop the stream. I will exit the stream when I stop getting asked questions or comments or concerns. So, if you want the stream to keep going, you need to provide me with content. What do you think? You want me to come up with something to talk about extemporaneously? You want me to just sit here and say like, oh man, guys, you want to hear like some totally cool, spontaneous, extemporaneous ranting and raving about some subject that I just kind of came up with all by myself, dude? Because that's not the stream for that. So you gotta provide me with some other material. So also, I'm too drunk to come up with something to talk about. What other bets have I made? Are you talking about Polymarket? Yeah, so I'm a Polymarket user. And I say user very deliberately. Well, let's just put it this way. I was up not too long ago. I was up major percentage points on my total, you know, money I put in. I was up bigly, I would even say. I would go as far as to say that. Over the recent days, I have, you know, I use Polymarket every day because I'm a gambling addict. And over the recent days, I've been doing pretty poorly. But the debate stream, I should have made a lot of money on the debate stream. So I'm hoping to hit break even after the debate stream is all calculated. And then from there, I'll keep you posted. When was the last time I left my house? Well, I leave my house every day to take a walk or to, to accompany Max the dog into the outer realm. But if you're asking when the last time I left my house, as in left my house to go do something, like at another location, I went to an art museum like 2 years ago. I don't do anything because there's a pandemic going on, and it's even more dangerous because 90% of humans are fucking stupid and they think that the coronavirus has disappeared by magic. So I don't leave the house anymore to go places. I take walks every day. Well, not every day. I don't take a walk every day. Sometimes I just rot in bed like a fucking goblin. I still can't believe Catherine is back. Yeah, Catherine, what the fuck? What, give me the, let's just be honest here. Let's cut the shit, all right? Let's cut the... What's the thought process? It's been like, what, 2 years since you rage quit? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I forget what you rage quit about. Was this some Joe Biden bullshit? Like, I said, like, fuck Joe Biden, man. And then Catherine was like, oh my god. But now I guess that Joe Biden's gone. Like, it's all good. I don't know. But I'm just curious. Tell me your thought process. You're concerned about my nail care routine. Oh, no, it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. I destroyed my cuticles when I was in high school, and they haven't really worked properly since. So I don't really fuck with my nails too much these days. I mean, I still do a little bit. But that problem has been long taken care of since I was like 15. So. What other political bets have I made? Well, my favorite markets on Polymarket are I bet on the speeches. So, like, Donald Trump holds a rally. Will he say border 10 plus times? Like that kind of stuff. That's what I like to bet on. So, because, they happen like every week or so. And it's pretty fun. Oh, Katie Sigmund sent you like, I see, okay. So there's like, so what was that process like? Oh, remember that fucking slut whore that you said was a total fucking C word? I can't say that on YouTube because she said, Joe Biden, dude. I don't know. I think it was about Joe Biden. I don't know, man. Go rewind the tape. Play the tape. We got the tape. Don't pretend we don't have the tape. We got a tape. I got a long tape. I got a shitload of tape. I got so much tape, you wouldn't even believe it. I got so much fucking tape. Well, yeah, so Katie and Catherine, huh? They got a private little relationship here. Even after Catherine was shit-talking me, that uneducated fucking... whatever she is. I don't know. Katie was like, oh yeah, we're still friends. It's good to know that Katie's friends are such haters. It's good to know. It's good to know. But welcome to the stream. Concern. You must travel from one point to across a finite... Okay, what? I'm sorry. Concern, : You must travel from one point to another across a finite distance, but... What? What? Huh? What the fuck? Oh, Katie and Catherine talk all the time. Really? Really? How are those, See, okay. Now I remember. Catherine, the last time this fucking this absolute... Oh, I can't bully my viewers because then YouTube won't know I'm joking. So, but the last time this bracket individual was here, we were talking about Solana. Remember, you were telling me about meme coins, right? How are your meme coins doing? Your Solana meme coins, Catherine? Tell me. I'm curious. I'm curious. How are the meme coins? Doing pretty good? Oh, I love meme coins. I could talk for hours. I have the best tape. It's true. It's true. I do have tape. I recently got tape stuck to my body. And I really struggled to get it off. I had to spray alcohol on my foot. It was a really big problem. This was like a week ago or so. Oh, so you bought high and you sold low. You know when lefties come in the chat and they go like, man, you know, like crypto's like a scam, dude. You know, like people like, they like get like a third mortgage on their house and they like put all their money in crypto and then they lose it and then their families become homeless, man, and that's why it's a scam. Well, like that's Catherine. Catherine buys high and sells low. Like this bitch was like, I'm gonna get a 5th mortgage, put it all into Solana fucking dog coins. Oh, as soon as it crashes, let me just sell, you know. After it's gone to 0, let me just get out. You know, might as well save a couple bucks. Oh man, I still finished way up, bro. I was up by like thousands when I got out, dude. I was like... Holy fucking moly. Oh yeah, guys. Yeah, when you know, like by the time I got out, like oh, Jesus Christ. I got like a blue dot on my thing. Fan funding, blue dot. I got a Alley CIA. Oh, I already read that. I got fan funding. There's a new tab on. Hold on, guys. A new tab has just dropped. Fan funding. Alright, guys. I'm only on the fan funding tab. Supers and highlight memberships show up here. If you change filters, this filter will only show your last 100 fan funding messages. Oh, I've got 100 messages on the fan funding tab. Well, you know, I'm not seeing anything. The chat must be dying down. I'm on fan funding mode. Can't see anything. It appears that no fans are funding at this no fans are funding. Questions, comments, or concerns, if anyone has them. You got him? You got him? Anyone? You know, I keep seeing people, when is Andrea gonna stream? Why isn't she streaming? And here I am streaming, and I got like 2 people in chat. I got Katie and Catherine who are having some sort of like weird fucking, you know, I don't know what's going on, but it's weird in the chat. And then we got 0PE just going lol, 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 lol. Concern. I never want this stream to end. I want this moment with you to last eternally. You are everything. Thank you. I appreciate that. Have I gotten halfway yet across the finite distance? I'm afraid I don't know. Hello, public utility. This is where I do that. This is what, you know, where I do the whole reacting to information thing. You ever see those things where like the streamer like clicks on something and then they go, you know? Anyway, I'm reacting to information. We got Isaac Uncooked in chat. Welcome to the program. I haven't seen you in a while. I did not recognize you. No, it's more than 2 people, lol. See what I mean with this guy with the lols? Dude, not everything is a fucking joke, 0PE. Not everything's a goddamn little jape. Okay, lol. LMAO even. Okay, you got 2 more of those and you're fucking done for, Alley CIA. A weird, I don't know what's going on, sounds about right. I agree. How many times was genocide mentioned? 7 times, actually. It was pretty crazy. Trump and Kamala, right, because we're talking about the debate. That's what happened tonight. They were like, no, actually, I like genocide more. And then Kamala was like, you think you like genocide more? You haven't even seen me do genocide. And then Trump was like, if you let me back in, I will genocide so hard. And then Kamala Harris is like, actually, I'm going to genocide harder. And then Donald Trump was like, no, actually, I'm going to genocide harder. And then Tim Walz, you know how Tim Walz is a gamer? You know, Tim Walz, there's a story about how he had his Dreamcast taken away from him by his wife, so he's a gamer. So Tim Walz was going to come in here. You guys like genocide so much, but you don't even know that I have the zombie genocider achievement in Dead Rising. Hello, I'm the real genocider. That's going to be Tim Walz coming in with his gamer reference because he likes the Dreamcast. Which is not what Dead Rising. Dead Rising is on the Xbox. Not the Dreamcast. Those are 2 different systems. Thank you for doing the stream, Andrea. High five. Yep. I try to avoid stupid content. Well, you are failing, unfortunately. You are not doing well at that mission. Lol. See, Isaac Uncooked is lolling up a storm. You know why I'm lolling. I gotta check this stuff out later. I gotta go do some research. I gotta figure out what's going on here. AKA Israel has the right to defend itself. Israel. I get it. Israel, as in, you know, the only Jewish state. How dare you say that about the only Jewish state? You know they're the only Jewish state, right? You know that they're the only Jewish fucking state, right? As if, you know, as if we shouldn't question, what's a Jewish state? Wait, what? There's a Jewish state? How do you get groceries and supplies? Delivery, yes. I get delivery. I haven't gone to a grocery store in a while. I don't know if that makes me bougie or not. Feel free to judge me. I don't mind. I do laugh too much, unfortunately. Yeah. I laugh a lot when I'm nervous. Hey guys. 0PE here, guys. Oh, wow. Such a crazy debate. Wow, how you guys doing? Fuck. Did Trump talk about flip-flopping on the TikTok ban? Unfortunately, we did not get any message. Not any. Please bear with me. We did not get any discussion on the TikTok ban. Which is that still happening? I was thinking, all right, guys, I'm going to share this with y'all. Hey, guys. Guys is gender neutral. Everyone calm down. All right. Should I get on TikTok? I was thinking about it. And I'm going to tell you why I was thinking about it. Okay, so I've been studying this phenomenon starring John Travolta. I've been studying this phenomenon of, there's this thing on TikTok called water talk. Has anyone heard of this? Where they drink like soda and juice and like sugary beverages and then they claim it's water and then they talk about how healthy it is. I've heard about this and it's made me want to get a TikTok. I'm not going to lie. I'm thinking about it because there's this, like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but look it up. It's called water talk, right? They mix like little drink packets, which is just like soda and like, you know, Kool-Aid powder crystals. And then they call it water. And then that's the whole thing. I was thinking about getting in on water talk. So if anyone out there wants to sway me in any direction, I'm thinking about getting on TikTok specifically getting on Water Talk. That's what I'm thinking about. So if anyone is pro or anti that, let me know. Lindsay's green canvas is on Debate Talk. Whoa. Debate Talk. Whoa. New York as a Hebrew state? I hope it's not a Hebrew state. Just woke up. How'd the debate go? Yo, all right. Now, first of all, this is a debate stream. Did I ever give my debate recap? I don't know. I'm drunk, so I forget. Also, I'm on multiple drugs, so I got short-term memory loss. But thank you for the question, Skeletino. Kamala won, no question. Kamala, was she perfect? No. She did a couple things. She stumbled a little bit. There were a couple moments where she was like kind of like long pauses where she was thinking what to say. Now, I think that that's a good thing. However, you know, again, I like to judge debates on how an average American would view them. So it looks like she stumbled. To me, it looked like she was just kind of thinking about what she wanted to say, but she kind of stopped in the middle of sentences a couple of times. But that was like the only real negative about like the showcase performance, the content of the policy and stuff. Obviously, Kamala Harris is a centrist Democrat. You know, she's not going to give us anything incredible. But she really did a good job of like basically just not saying too much about how bad her policies are. Because let's be honest, Kamala has a really shitty political agenda. Let's be real. She's a centrist Democrat. She's not that impressive. Right? So she did a couple times where she's like, oh, I'm a strong supporter of private health insurance. What? Why would you say that? Right? But a couple of times she let the whole centrist thing slip. But most of the time she just kind of let Donald Trump hang himself. And Donald Trump hung himself so hard. So hard. And it was honestly a treat to watch. I went after Rashida Tlaib. That does not sound like something I would do, Johnny Too Late. I need proof. I love Rashida Tlaib. What did I say? But that's the thing about people that rage quit my stream. Look at Isaac, by the way, Uncooked. You know, we got multiple people that have rage quit my stream at one time or another. I don't know if Isaac rage quit. I'm just having fun with it. But that's what they say. People always come back. They always come back to this program. This broadcast. Emphasis on broad. They always come crawling back. Could be months. Could be years. Could be 5 years. Could be 10 years. But you'll always come crawling back to the Andrea program. You know it's true. You know it's true. I know it's true, at least. I know it's true. They all come crawling back. Specifically crawling. That's the thing. No one comes walking back. No one comes running back. Right? They always come crawling back. And why is that? Oh, Katie's just trying to get the stream to last longer. Oh, can we talk about Mandy? You might as well just send me a super chat that says, like, please keep the stream going for 10 more minutes. Like, yeah, we can talk about Mandy. It's a good movie. You remember that part where Nicolas Cage gets the fucking, like, the chainsaw and has that chainsaw battle with that dude with the long-ass chainsaw? And then there's sparks going around going, bah, bah. Like, what the fuck, dude? How did they think of that, man? Come on. Letterhack sent you? I doubt that's true. Oh, Catherine, the issue is being too... So I was too doomer? Oh, I was too doomer for Catherine fucking Elizabeth. 2 first names, by the way. two first names. I'm just, hey, someone had to say it. Someone had to say it. Someone had to say it. Hey, I don't make the rules. So we got this two first name bitch coming in here. Oh, your stream fucking sucks, man. You're like a doomer. Well, I am actually the world's most prolific Doom speedrunner. I am. You're right. I'm a doomer. I have recorded the most Doom speedruns of all time. Look it up. Look it up. Look at this. Most prolific Doom speedrunner of all time. All right, look at that. That's me, number 1. Okay, so you're right. I am a doomer. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. And I'm not going to let this two first name ass motherfucking whore, this bitch ass bitch, Bab, if you will, I'm not going to let this Bab come into my stream. Oh, you should be ashamed of being a doomer. By the way, most prolific doomer of all time. You should be ashamed. How dare you? Subscribe at Doom Speedruns on YouTube. And then crawling back. I'm sure we'll see Catherine in here next time. Not that there's going to be a next time, because I don't stream anymore. This motherfucking Bab ass bitch. I swear to God. This bitch ass bitch. Have I seen Long Legs? No, I'm waiting for it to get cheaper. I know it's good though. Letterhack talks highly about my shoe. Well, I don't think that's true because Letterhack's been sober for quite a few years. So I don't think he does talk highly about my shoe. Hey, come on. Give me that one. I never rage quit. Could never quit you. I just watch longingly from afar. Simp eyes. Social anxiety. Alright. Okay. Alright. I'm sure that that's the same for many people. Many people are saying they watch longingly from afar. Pretty far away, I gotta be honest. It's been like, what? 6 years? 7? I don't know. I don't have a concept of time. I threw the concept away. Threw it away in the garbage. It's just like the old days. It's like the old... It depends on how old the days are. You know? What old days? 2 years ago? Old days? 2 years ago? Those aren't old days. That's yesterday. I've been on YouTube since I was 12 years old. The old days could mean anything. This is the new days, man. We're still firmly in the new days. Letterhack's been too busy gallivanting around with other streamers. Well, I have a show with Letterhack. Letterhack brought me on a show. Well, let's just put it this way. You know, Letterhack was like, I need to have a show with other people. And who did Letterhack call? Letterhack called Sandy from Environmental Coffee House. And then they were like, all right, who are we going to call? Then they called some other guy named your old pal Jake, right? And then they had a whole trio together and like, well, we need 4 people. Who should we get for a 4th? And then Letterhack was like, oh, I know. We'll get some fucking crazy dumb bitch who will show on. She'll be the 4th. She'll never show up. She doesn't stream anymore. She won't show up. Needless to say, I don't show up. And the show's called Left Past 10. Check it out. Did I play the RE4 remake? I played I played through the village. And then I stopped. Because I have a disease called depression. And I never played it again. But I loved it. I played through the whole village section, and I thought it was tremendous. But I have to finish it. For those of you that don't know, I used to speedrun Resident Evil 4. I used to have the world record for Resident Evil 4. Hey, I don't want to say I'm cool or anything, because I'm not. I'm not cool. Let's be honest. I'm not cool. Certainly not clever. But I used to have the world record speedrun for Resident Evil 4. It's something I'm proud of. I think it's a little neat. I don't anymore. I got destroyed. I'm like not even top 30 anymore. But at one point in time, I was the best in the world. Well, best in quotes. I was pretty good. Okay? I was the fastest. Oh, Catherine Elizabeth thinks that Jake is a loser. That's not nice. That's not nice. Oh, Katie. I never knew that this Katie and Catherine, what is going on here? This, relationship. Katie knows exactly the clip Catherine is talking about? What are you guys, best friends? Are you guys roommates? How do you know exactly the clip Catherine is talking about? Holding a record for a video game is definitely not cool. I think it's the opposite of cool, but not hot. The other opposite? Well, first of all, now I remember why I banned you from my stream. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Get this fucking bitch out of here. Yeah, put user in timeout. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to resist the urge. Because I'm a better person. I'm a better person. I don't need to be that way. So this is the other thing. So okay, so Catherine rage quits my stream. And Katie couldn't get Catherine to come back anytime sooner? Katie, been watching my stream for a while, my videos or whatever they are. I don't know. Couldn't get her to come back a year sooner. Some fan you are. When you go to the carnival or whatever, and you get those little fan things, with the trigger, and you click the trigger and it winds up the little fan. It's that's Katie. You know what I'm talking about, man. Those little handheld fan things. And you're supposed to go like this, you're shooting your fucking brains out, and it's just revving up this little fan to give you just half a second of fucking relief, from this hot climate change world. That's Katie Sigmon. That's the Oh man. The FPS controversy. It was quite a controversy. Interesting. I mean, I'm learning a lot today. I'm learning a lot. But anyway, so we watched the debate. So people want to know, who am I voting for? Who am I voting for? People want to know. People have been asking me, especially after this debate. Who am I voting for? Well, I would like to say that I want to make America great again. And as a result, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. And then they have cans of soup, and the media says, "This is just soup for my family." And then they throw the cans of soup, and it's better than a brick because it's got force. It's got some size, and they say it's just soup for my family. These anarchists, big bags of soup, these anarchists, are bringing the soup in. And the media says, this is just soup. This is just soup. That's what the media says. Only the really, and I hate to say it, but those with the lowest IQ. Then you have the Paralympics. And I watched as much as I could. I couldn't watch too much, but I watched as much as I could. Beautiful, clean pole. That's what they call it. And you know what? I call it that too. And then the childs, they go to school and they don't tell the parents that they have these transsexual surgeries. They have an operation, and then they come home from school and they've had these operations and they don't even tell the parents. And the kids, they grow up and they think, how the hell could this have happened? How did this happen to me? Why would they do what Kamala wants them to do? Then the media says no. The media says no. That's what they said. They say no, this is just soup. That's what they say. I would never say that. I would never. That's what the media says. They say it's just soup for their family. We all know they don't have families. We all know leftists don't have families. They're a bunch of childless cat ladies. They don't have families, but that's what the media says. It's just soup. This is just soup for my family. The childless cat lady's family, yeah. This is just soup for your cat? Is that what it is? Is that what the soup is for? No. No, it's like a brick. And they throw it at our police. They throw these bricks. It's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's got force, and bricks don't have force. Bricks do not have force. But what does have force is a can of soup. And the anarchists, they lay out these big bags of soup. And then they say, come get the soup, it's for your family. It's for your family. Be sure to tell the media on your way out that this swoop is for your family. While you throw it at our police, at our cops, at our police. It's the perfect size. It's made perfect. Called herself the Border Czar. I never called her that. That was her own name. The Border Czar. Unbelievable.